game. Is a $10,000 puppy really worth 2 times more than a $5,000 puppy? Or are you just simply getting scammed? I already know what a lot of you are thinking, but nonetheless, let me tell you what my truth is. Most people buying $10,000 puppies are paying for nothing more than hype. Y'all already knew I was going to say that. What you didn't know is that there are some situations that a $10,000 puppy actually makes sense. And we're going to be breaking that down exactly.
Well, hold up though. I've seen $5,000 puppies that turned out better than $10,000 puppies. You know, sometimes people are just paying for the name and not actually the dog. We got to keep it 100 with the people, man.
Hey, facts. And that's why we're here, bro, to give you the real breakdown so you don't get played. Straight up, man. We're going to jump into this. Man, look at all these comments, man. I like the jersey, says Ryan Suba. Jay Bullies Inc. Raul, mi hermano, you need a Hector Jr. on the litter. Somebody is saying this cat right here is starting to look like Hector, man. I don't know. Suba. I said Suba. Jay Bullies Inc. Let me bring up a Hector's. Well, this is side-by-side Hector picture. Hector, if you're watching on the screen, is on the right side. But let me tell you, he's been throwing a consistent look, right? Consistent look. But nonetheless, we're going to be talking about that, man. Appreciate your comment. What's up, good Bully fam? We got Fridi Estrivia. We got Inserata. Both hats are good, though. All right, guys, give me a cue if you want to see me switch over to the Y build. All right, and give me a letter O, capital letter O, if you want O school.
Raul.
We got.
Hey, they've already voted on it, bro. They're calling for the wide. Everybody's calling for the wide. Right. Yes, sir.
Hey, we're gonna have to do it, man. We're gonna have to do it. We're coming in with a jersey. You got it. You got it from the back. Hey, we're gonna make it happen tonight, man. So we having fun, man. So let's jump in. So listen. Do me a favor. If you think price equals quality, I know some of you believe that. And to a certain extent, I got to say there's some truth to it. But if you believe that price automatically equals quality, I want you to smash that like button right now. Let me know how many of you believe that the higher the price means actually the higher the quality. All right? Smash that like button right now. If you think it's all marketing BS, I need you to type all caps, type hype in the comments. All right. This way I can go back and I can see how many of you are thinking what. And we could either drop a post during the week or we could actually count them by the end of this live and we could give you what people are thinking. So let me tell you. What I believe as far as what a $5,000 puppy is. And when I say $5,000, it could be a $3,000 puppy. You guys have heard me so many times talk about that there are small breeders. And when I mean small, I don't even mean how many dogs they have in their yard. I'm talking about their social media presence. Look at it. Look at so many people hitting up hype, man. So many people hitting up hype. Social media presence is what I'm referring to as far as big or small. I'm talking about, do you have a YouTube channel? What is the following? What is the following on Instagram? What's the following on Facebook? The truth of the matter is, a lot of times you have amazing breeders. You have breeders that have been doing this for so long. And for many reasons, they cannot have a real presence on social media. It could be time constraints. I know breeders that actually work 60 hours a week job and they're doing the breeding and all that as a hobby. Okay. But they're producing amazing pups. You have other breeders that are either older or really don't do too well with social media. And therefore they don't put time on there. Unfortunately, what you see or what the audience sees is what they think. So when they're seeing that you don't have a presence online, they're thinking that you're really a smaller breeder. Obviously, that's going to drive less people to want to buy puppies from you, and therefore there's less demand. And if you have less demand, you can't sit there asking $10,000 for a puppy. It's just not going to happen, right? So to a certain extent, there's got to be some sort of hype. You have to hype or market or be in people's minds that what you're producing is good in order to be able to charge those prices. But there's a little bit more to that, okay? It's not just sit there and hype it up and yell at the four winds. You also have to have something in front of you that is has something proven to it, okay? It has something that people can say, okay, well, at least I got that. For the better part of the last 10 years that I've been breeding, that one thing has normally been color. So you got breeders that'll produce very exotic colors, and all of a sudden, you know, these new buyers that don't know nothing about nothing, and they're just looking at whatever shines, they say, well, at least I'm getting a name and I'm getting this color. Okay. That has been a marketing strength that has worked for these big breeders for the better part of the last 10 years. But things are changing. Things are changing. Let me tell you one of the things that's changing. One of the things that's changing is if you are to roll the clock back 5-6 years ago, there was not a platform like ours out here educating people as far as what's confirmation. What's the difference between a $5,000 puppy and a $10,000 puppy? These type of topics were never brought up. Breeders wouldn't dare to do it because they're only thinking about the money they can make and not about who's getting scammed. I mean, I'm just keeping it real, right? Let's go real quick here to some comments. Christopher Holiday, what up, Bully fam? We got Andrew Rose, some small breeders produce nicer overall dogs. We're going to get into that. Monique Green says, and don't charge if you don't have papers, okay? Adam Fields says, what's up, Holiday? You got it. So definitely, guys, definitely, and this is not just QBN talking. This is just regular market knowledge. If your dog doesn't have papers, you have no value, bottom line, right? And I don't mean just veterinary papers. I'm talking about you got to have registration paperwork, right? From ABKC, the American Bully Kennel Club, the UKC, United Kennel Club, USBR. There are several registries out there. I keep referencing the ABKC because not only was it the first registry to recognize the American Bully, but it is the hallmark registry for the American Bully. Make no mistake about it. So if you're getting a dog and it doesn't have paperwork, okay, automatically you could forget $10,000 or $5,000. Okay, that's just not flying. In fact, you could probably forget about $2,000. A dog that doesn't have papers is not a dog that holds value as far as breeders are concerned. Breeders want to be able to see the pedigree. And sometimes that's part of the difference between a $5,000 puppy and a $10,000 puppy is a lot of times you have people that or breeders that have puppies where they can show a stronger pedigree. Okay. Now, what I want you to right now type, if you're in the comments section, what I want you to type, do you believe that pedigree is the number one priority when you're choosing a puppy? If your answer is yes, I want you to type yes. If your answer is no, I want you to type no, but I want you to put on the side of that whatever the priority is. Is it structure? Is it the popularity from the breeder you're getting it from? Whatever the case may be. Go ahead and drop it right now. Shade Tree says yes, actually. Shade Tree saying that pedigree pretty much trumps everything for her. Okay. We got Payne Laurie saying no, health is always number one. So he's saying otherwise. So keep on letting me know, because I definitely want to be able to answer you on real time. Look, Brayman Bulls brings up a very good point. He's saying the puppy in front of you should be the priority number one, or the number one priority. Pet isn't far behind for me, though. Okay. Billy Watton is saying no, consistency and structure. Insaratha is saying no, health and functionality. Shaytree says, I thought pedigree's health. No, pedigree is the dog's lineage or supposed lineage. And we're going to get into that here in a second. Okay. So-called warrior says yes, he believes that the pedigree should be the top thing. Adam Field says no, genotype and phenotype, meaning the genetic test and how the puppy looks. Okay. So look, Frida Strevia says no, health and structure. Insaratha, health testing. Okay. Justin Dansenhawk, I would post your comment, but you got a bad word in it, bro. And if I do post it, YouTube is not going to push it. So do me a favor, rearrange your comment. I'll be more than happy to publish it. All right. So let me get to some of the things that differentiate. And I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying the things that I'm able to observe. That is the difference between a dog that is $5,000 and a dog that is $10,000. Now, we already spoke about height, so there's no need to keep hitting on that. The next thing that is probably going to be thrown in your direction when you're dealing with a dog that is $10,000 versus $5,000 is going to be pedigree. So, in essence, who is the mama and who is the dad? Sometimes it could even be, depending if the dog is that popular, who's the grandfather or even the great-grandfather? Or how many times does that great-grandfather appear on the father's side and on the mother's side, and in which generations? Okay? And this is getting more and more into pedigree, but those that were just saying genetics is important, if you think about it, if great-grandfather is also the father of the pup, then true enough, pedigree is there, but it's giving you an indication of what's supposed to be happening genetically, right? A lot of times we'll get a grandfather and we'll breed him to the granddaughter, right? And then that puppy, right, his dad is also his great-granddad, right? When you're in a scenario like that, sometimes, unfortunately, in this community and in all breeding communities, sometimes paperworks are hung, meaning they're false. It'll state that the grandfather is also the father, but in reality, the grandfather was the dog's brother, not really the grandfather. Whereas that's where genetic testing can help you prove, to a certain extent, if that could be true based on the coefficient of inbreeding, right? Because the coefficient of inbreeding, if the dad is also the great-grandfather, then we should see a coefficient of inbreeding that should be coming up, right? So if the dad is also the grandfather and you see a coefficient of inbreeding of, say, 11, there's something not right. There's something that just is not adding up. A grandfather at max can give to its grandchild up to 12.5% of its genetic load. Let's go ahead and half that just to be on the safe ways. And we could say a 6 to 5% COI bump because he's also the grandfather. So we know that the father, right, depending also if this is a line breeding, an outcrossing, or an inbreeding, we know the father is going to be giving 50% of his genetic load, plus an additional bump of usually 5 to 6% that you can rely on from the grandfather. So if you're getting a koi of, say, 11, 12, 13, and he's supposed to be the father and the grandfather, the only way in my mind that can be true is if it's a complete outcross and the mom's COI or coefficient of inbreeding is like a 5. Then that could be true because she just scrambled everything. Okay. But if you're line breeding, which a lot of people that are selling pups for 10,000 usually do, or even inbreeding, you should be looking at a koi no less than a 20, and more likely than not, somewhere between 25, let's call it between 22 and 30 is where that koi could fall. Now, if you have a koi of 20, that's not the end of the world. It's still believable. Okay. But if you got a koi of 12 or 11 and they're telling you he's the father, but also the grandfather, then you know this to be completely false. Okay.
I think that's an interesting point, man, because you're tying in a few different things together here. You're in my opinion, everybody should deal with the breeder accordingly, according to what they can see, according to transparency, according to what they can find out if they ask a few simple questions, and also looking at the pedigree, like you said, looking at the mom and dad, and then look at the productions. Did this breeding take hold of what it was intended for? You know, and you can see all that looking at the pup. I would say that sometimes, like you said, the $10,000 puppies are all hype. It's last year's winners. It's whatever. And not that has to mean it's hype, but it can be, right? And a lot of people are chasing that marketing and chasing what's hot. But then you have a level of consistency and educated decisions made towards moving a program forward. And when I see that, that's what catches my attention. When you got mom and dad going together, the phenotypes match, there's transparency under the hood, there's health testing done there, then I feel reassured that these puppies are going to be a step in the right direction. And then when I see the pups, I'm like, okay, this is what we were expecting right here. And so I feel more comfortable in that.
Okay, fair enough. So in essence, what is being marketed is this dog, and this dog that I'm referring to is at some point could have been a grand champion or even a champion, or as good, if not better, in my opinion, way better, a producer. Right. A producer does not necessarily have to be a grand champion or a champion. Let me explain something to you guys really quick. Sometimes breeders specialize in one thing, and that is breeding. Sometimes they don't have the social skills or the time, or they may be in a geographic location where they're too far away from a handler or someone that could show their puppies, and so, or their dog. And that dog is not able to go in the ring and champ out or grand champ out. I'm letting you know right now, you could have there are many grand champions out there that are not producers. So this brings me to another point where we're going from the difference between a $10,000 puppy and a $5,000 puppy. How do you know? How do you not get scammed? How do you know you're paying for something that truly has the value? And here's where the exception of the $10,000 puppy sometimes makes sense versus a dog that may be less, but in reality could be equal, if not better. And that is whether it's the male or the female. Now, you guys know I always favor the female, but whether it's the male or the female, are they producers? What do we mean by producers? Well, it can mean different things for different people, okay, including breeders. Some breeders will go after a particular dog or even bloodline because that particular dog or bloodline produces the type of headpiece that they're looking for, or the type of rear that they're looking for, or even fronts, okay? Sometimes the puppies they produce don't look exactly like the producer, but the producer is able to transfer over in his or her genetic load what they have ancestrally accumulated. This is why line breeding or going after dogs that have been line bred is so important and actually adds value. Is it true that all breeders must outcross? This is true. At some point, you will have to. The blood will become too tight at some point. Okay. But if you are new to breeding or somewhere in the middle, more likely than not, you're trying to get a puppy who has stable koi from a line breeding so that you can inject the attributes that you're trying to get from that blood or that dog into your yard. If you don't do that and you go after a hyped up dog that is scatterbred, for those of you that don't know what scatterbred is, let me bring Mike in. Mike, do you know what scatterbred or scatterbreeding is?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you bring it down?
That's when there's no line bred at all. There's no common threads in the pedigrees at all.
No common ancestry, right? Between the male and the female.
Yes, sir.
And you cross them so that you could water down the koi, because when the koi or the coefficient of inbreeding becomes too tight, then you start getting unwanted attributes, smaller litter size, more feeble puppies, maybe even things like kink tails, underbites that weren't there, right? That's when you know, hey, you know what? I think I went a little too far. I need to water this down. The problem you have with a scatterbred dog is that you have now broken the very many homozygotic or identical pairs, genetic pairs. You've broken them and you've made them into heterozygotic or different pairs.
Right.
So now when that dog is bred to another dog, rather than increasing the odds because he's got two genes of the same thing, the odds have been halved. Now, how do you know a puppy is worth $5,000 versus 10? I'm going to tell you right now. Pay close attention because I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Okay. So if you're looking at, say, this puppy right here, right? And you're looking at a coefficient of inbreeding that's average in the litter, right? And you're noticing that the majority of the puppies have the same look, the same consistent look. Then what that's telling you is that these parents that were matched up are giving you a consistency. And that's all you can ask for in a litter. When we're doing projections, genetic projections on matchups and breedings, we're doing genetic projections for the entirety of the litter and not specifically for one puppy, because it is completely impossible. You're just playing odds is what you're doing. You have heard me here. If you haven't, I will say it for you one more time. In a 10-pup litter, in a perfect world, a good breeder is going to have two puppies that are drop dead gorgeous show quality puppies. Okay? That's it. That's a good breeder. If out of that 10-pup litter, he's able to get 3 show quality puppies, he might as well not play the lottery because he used up his luck for the next year or so, right? Those are just the factual odds. This is not me, Can there be an exception to the rule? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at my guy in New Mexico, Gene, right? He threw out a litter of nothing but grand champions. How often does that happen? It doesn't happen often. But here's the beauty of what happened in that particular scenario. In that particular scenario, you got consistency within the majority of a litter. And that consistency was translated into the show ring from not just champions, but also grand champions. So what I'm telling you is factual. If you're being charged $10,000 for a puppy and none of the puppies are looking like the same thing. What you're looking at is a scatterbred breeding, which means you're just getting you're getting a little bit of everything, but you're not getting consistency together throughout the litter. And that's the number one major difference. This is why, for those of us that know, if you're looking at a $10,000 puppy and his grandfather is also his father on the father's side, and you flip it over on the mom's side, remember, I put a lot of emphasis on the moms, and we could break that down further along in a future live, and he's also the grandfather and the father, and you're putting them together and you're seeing a consistent litter in front of you, that $10,000 puppy is worth every penny they're asking for. Make no mistake about it.
What you're saying in layman's terms is that when you have the homozygosity, like you're saying, what that means is the lineage of this pedigree is increased the probability that these traits that you want are being passed down. Whereas if it's scatterbred, you could lose some of that. That's why you would want to have maybe two bloods that you bounce back to hold two different lines that you can tie back into within your program.
You got it, Mike, because when you're getting a puppy that is scatterbred, you're not getting all those pairs that are homozygotic. You're getting heterozygosity. When you breed that puppy to whatever you got going on, you better hope whatever you got going on is a producer, because this guy, he has something that's called hybrid vigor. He's going to look amazing. He's going to look great, but he can't produce.
Yeah, there'll never be a 2.0 behind him.
You got it, man. Hey,
yeah.
I'm bringing Hollywood from the back. Hollywood, start us up tonight, man.
That's it. It's your boy Hollywood Holland, your boy in the back of the queue. We're catching you on the next one.
Michael Higginson.
Hey, man. Creek Bank Kennel, Money Mike, Arkansas, man. Your co-host with the most. We'll be catching you on the next one.
Guys, we're doing things a little bit different. We're making sure we're getting to the point a lot quicker for you. That way you get the information you got, the information you want in the place you've always gotten it, in the place you always wanted it. It's been Raul from the queue. I'll be catching you on the next one.
We are going for a whole hour, straight dog talk, and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late.